Oh, yeah. See, I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back for the jump off. See how many loyal fans can figure out how many times I've said that in the opening of these things. Probably several. I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure it's a lot. This jam is called Acoustic Cinematic from StreamYard. This is the scene where the probably white male protagonist struggling with life and the everyday ins and outs of the world, and work's weighing him down. Even though he's got a decent 9 to 5, he should be very grateful. Can't find a girl because he's too picky. His dad is trying to convince him that he should be happy, even though his mom knows that he secretly always wanted to be a professional bowler but never went for it. Sometimes he watches professional bowling on the tube, because you can watch anything on the tube. He dreams about being a good bowler, but he was never actually very good. He just always loved it. Kingpin was his favorite movie. Bill Murray was his idol. Woody Harrelson was his second idol. Big Lebowski he liked but didn't think there was enough bowling. He didn't really understand the whole thing with the rug. He thought it was a waste of time. Bowling from Columbine was disappointing for him. In fact, it depressed him. Gave it 0 out of 10 stars for lack of bowling. He said the title was, quote, false advertising, unquote. And I quote, there was no bowling in this at all! Exclamation point, end quotation. He was a very angry man, but eventually he decided to go out for the bowling tryouts and become his own man, and be the person he was always destined to be. And this year's Strike for Love, that's what the movie would be called. And it opens to this song, and it's harrowing. All right, you get the point.
We're gonna start now. Sorry that we were a little late, but you know how life goes. It goes and goes.
Peter J. Gill says, bowling is making a comeback. I agree. Actually, I would say, it's always been there. I just never got into it. And every time I wanted to get into it, I'd see the pros, and they looked very stressed out. So I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is for me. Y'all look really into this. But it's impressive. I like bowling. I'm going to take my grandpa sometime. All right. Maybe one day we'll do a bowling episode of all the great bowling movies. Let's get it started now. Oh, hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to another episode of PopCorn Poppin. You don't have time to figure out what to watch. There's too much content in the world, and you can't be wasting your time, so let me waste my time for you by watching all that looks vaguely interesting and letting you know what's poppin' and what ain't. What was new that came out this weekend? Not much, to be honest. Kingpin would be a perfect bowling movie. That will absolutely be in there. You walked in right after I got done talking about Kingpin. I mentioned Kingpin, Big Lebowski, and Bowling for Columbine. One has a lot of bowling, one has a minimal amount of bowling, and one has barely any bowling at all. The only new movie that was worth mentioning that came out this weekend in theaters was In a Violent Nature, which is in theaters now. Let me fix that so it's less confusing. I didn't write down what it was about because I think I can just explain it to you pretty easily. So, you know Jason Voorhees. You've seen him before. Well, imagine that this guy didn't have the rights to Jason Voorhees, but he wanted to make his own Jason Voorhees film, except from Jason's perspective with 0 score. And again, this is in theaters right now. It's pretty independent. I don't know how many screens it went around. I think it's all around where I live right now, but I know it made around 2 million for its opening weekend, which I think is good for this movie because it is very independent. I'm not sure though. 2 million sounds low. Maybe that was opening night. I'm not sure. In any case, poppin' or not, super poppin' for me. Now, when I try to determine the rating system of the show and I say something is poppin', I believe poppin' should be everyone will enjoy this, or most people will enjoy this. I'm going to say, I really want to say poppin' because there's one scene in particular that's worth the entire adventure. So from beginning to end, let's see, and without giving away spoilers. So Jason, think of this as like a remake of Jason Lives, which is like Friday the 13th, 7 or 8. Because first it was his mom, and then it's him, like basically coming back from the dead. And later on, when movies get down, he dies, and he's like in the bottom of Crystal Lake. And they try to bring in another serial killer that's like Jason, like a Jason copycat. And they did that for one movie, didn't work. So that says Jason Lives, where he's literally brought back by a bolt of lightning. And he rises from the grave and is an unstoppable killing machine. This is Johnny. He is buried in the ground, and there is a locket. There's a pole in the ground above where he lays, and that locket is taken by someone. And once that locket is taken, he rises from the ground, the grave, and goes on a killing spree in order to find this locket. I don't remember if they go into specific, I guess they did go into specific detail about who Johnny is, but I will tell you the thing that you will see most in this film. A lot of walking, a lot of this angle, I'm Johnny, and you will just watch me walk. It's literally probably an hour of walking and no score. So when I was watching this in the theater, we saw the first showtime last Wednesday when the movie officially came out last Thursday. So there was one showtime. AMC Gratiot didn't play it that day, and AMC Forum was like the only one around our area that was playing it. So the theater was pretty full, and it's kind of cool to go see a horror movie in a full theater. Now, if you don't know Star Gratiot and you don't know AMC Forum, Star Gratiot is a little more ghetto, a little more fun, a lot of fun with this. And I love that theater specifically for a crowd like that for horror movies. But sometimes it can get ruined specifically by younger fucking high school kids. And that's really with any movie theater. But ghetto movie theaters, you're going to have a lot more camaraderie around. Really, it's any theater. I just hate young people in general. Anyways, the reason I'm mentioning the ghetto-ness of one theater versus the ghetto-ness of another. AMC Gratiot, if I hear talking from several groups of people, I'm probably not going to get mad. If I'm in any movie theater and I hear talking or I hear like excitement, I'm not going to get mad because it's a horror movie. You know, it's whatever. You're supposed to go out and have a good time. Who cares? AMC Forum, it's a lot less likely, but it will happen. I was sitting up towards the top row, about 3 rows from the top, and about 2 or 3 seats away from me was a white man, and he'll come into play later. Down towards the front, about 3 rows up on the far left, was a group about 3 or 4 black people. And I think that he just thought the world revolved around him and didn't think that it was possible that people could ever whisper during a movie. I would say if you work with me, I have bad hearing. If I'm in a movie theater, I've seen enough movies and I've sat in a lot of theaters, and I can tell you confidently of who's talking loud and who ain't. I barely heard this group. I was very impressed that they were the only group of people that were like whispering to each other, but they were at a fine level. This guy's reaction, even if I was sitting next to this group, I would never in a million years react this way. I barely heard that. The theater isn't a giant theater. It's a good medium size. It's not small. It's a good medium size. So I could hear whispering, but I don't hear talking. Like if you heard this, that's even not enough volume for you to freak the fuck out. So or I didn't even hear anything. And later on in the movie, and this is a quiet movie, no score, mind you, I hear the white dude go, yeah, I can see your phone. And like several of us looked over and nothing. So later on, you hear nothing and you hear, can you stop talking, please? And like other people are reacting like this because they're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Several people between him and the people he's like talking to are looking at him like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? What is he? I don't know. So granted, maybe this guy has some like interesting mental health issues, or maybe he's very particular, but later on, right after he said, can you guys stop talking, please? Right then, a huge part of this movie happened. So a little bit background on the movie. It's very slow. It's so goddamn slow. You don't see people's faces, which is actually kind of cool. You see the back of this guy's head, and eventually he finds this mask that he puts on, a scuba diving mask. And you will see his face once during the movie, and it is like, whoa. It's kind of what you expect, but it's also kind of surprising. A lot of people's faces are out of focus. You won't see other civilians or victims unless he's in the same room or he's around them. And the first time that you see people's faces like head on is during a campfire scene where the camera goes around and around. And a lot of this is done in long one takes, which is pretty interesting. And the campfire scene is, you didn't hear the story of Johnny from blah, blah, blah. And they tell the story of this serial killer that we've been hanging out with that we barely know. And he's looking for the locket. And you see someone put the locket in their pocket. Locket in the pocket. That was on accident. I'm a wordsmith. He eventually starts killing them off one by one. And the first death you don't see. The second death is very, very unique, with a saw, and it involves a tree, with a handsaw, and it involves a tree. I won't tell you what happens, but you did get a little bit of a, whoa, damn, a little bit in the audience. The third kill scene, one of the wildest ways I've ever seen anyone kill anyone. One of the best scenes in horror cinema, hands down. But it is kind of like, why the fuck would anyone do that, including this character? It kind of seemed like this movie was brought to test audiences, and test audiences were like, yeah, we thought the movie was okay. Could have used one more interesting death. And they're like, we got an idea. I will tell you, it involves a chain, a hook, and going through someone and hooking their head. That's all I'll say. It's one of the craziest deaths. This movie is worth it just for seeing that. Jordan Colbertus agrees the movie was so good. I concur. Now, during that crazy ass death scene, because again, this movie's really slow, and they do a really good job of building tension and being very suspenseful, even though we're from the killer's point of view. And that's very impressive to do because you're not exactly rooting for him. And the camera kind of switches to her point of view of her like stretching on top of a mountain after. Actually, I lied. This is the fourth death scene because the third death scene happened at a lake, actually. That death scene was okay. It was more creepy than anything. But the fourth death scene, when he gets up to her, you're like, oh shit. And everything that he does, it's quick takes. It's loud. It's gory. It's like crunchy is a weird word I'd use for it. And it's wild. And our theater was like, oh shit. Oh, what? Ha! Oh, woo! Like we were freaking out, like laughing. It was one of my favorite movie theater moments because you're all sharing this crazy thing that happened on screen and you can't contain yourself. Now, again, this white dude, 2 minutes before this scene happened, loudly said, will you stop talking, please? All right. So 2 minutes later of silence, all of a sudden this death scene happens and everyone reacts. Then we're all calmed down and nothing. About 20, 30 seconds after we had all calmed down, he goes, that was absolutely worth it. Like loud, like he was announcing to everyone, That was absolutely worth it. I wanted to be like, motherfucker, what's it called? Double standard. Just because you don't want them to talk doesn't mean you get to announce whether or not a scene was good. I'm sorry, it was all right. That was worth it. Like, okay, guys, it was worth me being a little upset earlier, but this scene made everything okay. Don't ruin this. Shut up. So, nothing for a while. Eventually, the light goes off on the group's phone. You know, when you get a text and light flashes down there. So the light flashes. It's a little bright, but it's not shining on us. It's just shining against the wall a little bit. Who cares? You don't hear it. And he goes, "Oh, son of a bitch." And I could hear it. I don't think they heard it. So a little bit more. So he gets up and leaves. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want him to snitch on this group, but I am kind of like, okay, good. I'm glad that you're not trying to be a fucking movie theater tough guy and you're trying to, you know, shut the fuck up and have someone else handle it. Either have someone else handle it or shut up because you're not doing a good job of it. Even though it's just a movie, let it go. Comes back, sits down. He was gone so quick, I think he just used the bathroom. The phone goes off one more time, just the flashing of the light. And he goes, "Are you fucking serious?" And that group started cracking the fuck up. They were laughing so hard. The girl in it was just like howling. She was laughing so hard. And that made my heart warm, where I'm like, it's so funny that this interaction that I'm not involved with, even though I'm kind of held hostage and have to sit through it because this guy's yelling in the middle of silence, that they're like, man, fuck this guy. We're just watching a movie. And while they were laughing, he goes, "Keep testing me. Motherfucker, what are you gonna do? You ain't gonna do shit." And if you're with like a friend or something, that fucking sucks for that friend. Because that friend is like, "Hey man, shut the fuck. We're testing you. If something happens, I'm not stepping in for you. You're a piece of shit." The movie theater etiquette lesson is if a group is pissing you off, you know, don't announce it at the theater, especially if you're sitting so far away. And also go to Star Gratiot. If that pissed you off, that's nothing compared to what you could get at Star Gratiot. And you'll still, and trust me, you won't say shit at Star Gratiot, guarantee you. So, after this wild death scene, I was kind of hoping that there would be wilder death scenes, and there really wasn't. There was just a lot of slow-paced, long death scenes. The violence was tip-top, and by tip-top, I mean excessive. Most of the time in a good way, but the final death scene, even though I see why it was important for it to be like repetitively, it's a lot of hacking. And you see like a zoom in of it, and the zoom in, I'm like, this is a little too much. And whenever I say like violence is a little too much in cinema, I usually am not comparing it to my stomach, but comparing it to the thoughts of like what's tasteful and what's necessary. And I think that they're trying to show the unnecessary violence of nature that this serial killer brings by just hacking and hacking nonstop, so much that it haunts another character. But it was like, all right, this is a little too much. Jordan Colbertus also says, very good slow burner, not the normal, if that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense, Jordan. And it is absolutely a slow burn. And that is why I don't consider it popping for everyone. Because I think people are going to watch this, comparing it to Friday the 13th, and think that it's a lot more like fast paced. It is very slow, but it is worth it just for one scene. For me, it was worth it for the entire experience. After this big death scene, our final girl is running through the woods. Legit, one of the scariest scenes I've ever watched. So there are two extremely memorable scenes for a cinephile. So that means that maybe you should be interested in watching it. That first scene that I'm talking about involves a hook on a cliff. And the second scene I'm talking about is the girl running through the woods, lost in complete darkness. They turn the like cicadas, what are they called? Where you hear them outside, like crickets and shit. You hear a bunch of woods noises, and it's cranked up to 100. And it's stressful. You can barely see anything. You can see nothing in front of the character that's running away from this crazy serial killer who's hacking away. And she hears hacking again. Is she running towards them? Oh my God, she's losing her mind. I have run through the woods in complete darkness before, and it was extremely similar to that. But this made it 10 times more terrifying because she's running away from a serial killer. So that scene was done beautifully, and I liked the end sequence. It's a very long car ride. The car ride was a little too long. It was a little too long, but I got it. And the final part that you watch in it, a lot of people threw up their hands when the credits started rolling. It ends open-ended, but I loved the ending. I thought it was very, very good. So, pop it or not, for most folks, I'm going to stick by saying not popping because it's a slow burn. I don't think a lot of people can take slow burn. But it is popping for you to put it on streaming. Like, if you're having a bunch of people over and you want to, like, talk through a movie, this is a perfect movie for that. If you are a big horror fan, especially Jason Voorhees, check this film out. It is in theaters right now, In a Violent Nature. And it's basically this director's proof that he can make a Jason Voorhees movie. Give him one, because he deserves it for this. Now, this film is not only very similar to Friday the 13th, but they also took, and you've seen this plenty of times, this POV, like Hardcore Henry. But also, this isn't like all POV. It's mostly behind his back, but they take other angles too, and I appreciate that. But there's a movie called Maniac. It was made in 1980. I haven't watched it, but it is through the eyes of a serial killer. And they made a remake with Elijah Wood in 2014-ish. This you can watch on Tubi. This you can watch on Pluto. I've watched this. I like it. It's dark, and I remember there's a couple scenes where I'm like, whoa, that's kind of extreme, but it is very good. And it was one of the first movies where I was like, wow, Elijah Wood picks extremely good projects. I like him a lot. I like him as an actor just fine. He's never like super wowed me. No offense, Elijah. You just never super wowed me, but I've always enjoyed your performances, but I've really enjoyed your choices in what you want to watch. So I would recommend maybe checking this out. Check this out, but go through all the Friday the 13th films and definitely watch Jason Lives if you only have time for one movie to rewatch before watching In a Violent Nature. Nothing else was really much of interest that came out in theaters or on streaming for me anyways. No TV show was that interesting to me for me to watch. I'll talk about one that I hadn't watched in a little bit, but one that I watched only one that's Eric. I didn't watch Eric. Eric is on Netflix. It has Benedict Cumberbatch. Let me take off this. It has Benedict Cumberbatch, and I want to say it's like 6 episodes long. And I want to say it's a mini series. It does have him play a puppeteer named Vincent, who clings to his missing son's drawings of a blue monster puppet named Eric, who convinced that if he can get Eric on TV, then his son will come home. You can watch the whole series on Netflix right now. I haven't heard anything. I watched the trailer and I was very disinterested in it. I thought it didn't look very good, but it is Benedict. And besides Power of the Dog, I've liked most of the shit that he's made. I really didn't like Power of the Dog or Power of Dog. I can't remember what it's called. And that rhymes, so you know it's true. The other show, the only show that I watched was one episode of Tires, the new Shane Gillis television series, which has Shane Gillis, amongst other characters, working at a tire selling place. Season 2 has already been greenlit. I'd say if you loved Shane Gillis, you're probably going to love this no matter what. My biggest qualm with it is, and note this, every episode on IMDb, the lowest one that's rated is the first episode. So I have to give it another shot. And I will, and I'll let you know what I think next week. And by another shot, I mean I have to watch episode 2 in the very least. They rate higher and higher as the series progresses, which means the show is figuring itself out as it progresses. And season 2 is probably going to be better than season 1. But what I didn't like about episode 1 was it was constantly like, look, I'm just trying to make a safe place for women. Why? Are you like some sort of creepy guy? No, I'm not creepy. Look at him. He's creepy, guys. Yeah, you're creepy. It's constantly joshing one character, and that's the bit over and over and over again. I think it was very funny, at least most of the time. There are two parts that I cracked up very hard at laughing. But I'd say if you like Big Bang Theory and sitcoms like that, this is up your alley. Yeah. But I think the show will get better. I like Shane. Don't get me wrong. I like Shane Gillis a lot, but you can see them smiling the whole time. And I don't like, it's like watching SNL. Oh, he found his SNL. And the final thing about this is I kept comparing it to, what's it called? Gilly and Keeves, which is the online sketch show that Shane Gillis does along with people that made this show. So I was holding it to that high of a standard, but the sketches they have online are 20 times better than the pilot of the show. Maybe it'll get better. I'm assuming it will. Poppin' or not. For me, it wasn't poppin'. I'd say if you're a Shane Gillis fan, check it out. You'll probably enjoy it. We got news. The main reason that I decided to do an episode today, I was going to give you a birthday extravaganza. I had a weird week. That extravaganza may not be in birthday form, but it will happen soon. And I was like, maybe I just won't do an episode because the only thing that was worth talking about was in a violent nature. Except there's a lot of news. And I didn't want to give you 2 times the amount of news of next week. So I figured I might as well give you the news of this week. Before we get to it, what does my tea say? From a small seed, a mighty trunk may grow. That makes me think that that this tea's a tree hugger. I don't know if I like it. JK, I love hugging trees. Okay, what's in the news? I'll tell you what. Big news! Big news! Gargantuan news! Godzilla -1 is on Netflix right now. Check it out. It's awesome. Check it out. Let me know what you think if you're a Godzilla fan. I fucking love it. I'll say poppin'. Poppin' for all. And to all a good pop. Because fuck yeah, it's dope. Yes, it's foreign, but I'm sure Netflix probably has an English audio dub. Or read. Just fucking read it, guys. It's so good. I don't know if it's my favorite or Shin Godzilla is my favorite, but it's very, very good. Check it out. Am I excited for the House of Dragons? Good question, Pete. House of Dragons is going to be dropping on Max, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. I love Game of Thrones. It's one of my favorite shows. I think it was one of the best shows of all time. I didn't love the last couple seasons, but a lot of people like automatically thought because of the last couple seasons, this show sucks. Fuck off, dude. Most of that show was top tier, and you can't deny it. Now, House of Dragons, my biggest pet peeve of it, which I'm sure I've talked about it on a PopCorn Poppin' if you want to check previous videos. But to summarize, I found it way more boring because it's about one family. The thing that was fun about Game of Thrones, the first series, was you have several families all throughout Westeros, and you're trying to connect the dots because they'll have a conversation about characters that you'll see next episode or 3 scenes from now. I loved that game of Game of Thrones, was trying to connect everything and trying to compare families and compare characters. House of Dragons, you have mostly 2 families and great actors, decent writing, but a lot of filler stuff. Like there's a lot of filler for the show. So I am excited for season 2. I think it will be better. I didn't read the book. My mom, she's a huge fucking fanatic if you don't know her. And it's my fault. I got her into the show and I bought her the books. Anyways, she says the book's very good and she's excited to see where it goes. But a lot of people I know think that House of Dragons is better than Game of Thrones. I don't think it touches Game of Thrones, but I think it is very well made. And I definitely will say the production is at least at the same level, if not higher, when it comes to CGI, set design, and costume design. So I am excited. I'm just not excited as everyone else. Monkey Man will hit Peacock on June 14th. That is Dev Patel, a.k.a. Slumdog Millionaire's John Wick film that I previously did a review on. If you want to check it out, check out that video. And let me know if you agree, if you've seen the movie. Otherwise, overall, I did say Poppin. I just had a lot of qualms with a lot of like montage scenes. But overall, extremely badass movie. Excellent suspense, too. You can check it out on Peacock, June 14th. Check out the new Wolverine popcorn bucket. I think that they showed a trailer to this popcorn bucket, and it's their answer to the Dune popcorn bucket. And I really wish I would have started collecting these, because they do a lot of, not like sexual popcorn buckets, but they do a lot of movie themed popcorn buckets. That's a really cool thing to collect, I think. And Mike Deere, shout out to Mike Deere, he bought the Dune bucket, and I was like, I'm buying this next week. I had the bread, but I didn't want to spend it then, and I should have just borrowed money or something, because they stopped selling it, and I bet they're very expensive now. Anyways, this is cool. I'm sure they'll make a Deadpool one, and people think like, whoa, it's wild. Dude, it's really hard to compare this to the Dune one. The Dune one is wilder, but this is still pretty funny. The movie's out in July. Oops. George, speaking of Game of Thrones, a couple of seconds ago, I should have just jumped to this story after that question. George R.R. Martin was talking a little bit about adaptations from page to film, comparing books to films. And I just want to touch on this for a second. If anything, things have gotten worse. Everywhere you look, there are more screenwriters and producers eager to take great stories and make them their own. It does not seem to matter whether the source material was who the source material wrote it. I don't know. I wrote that wrong. No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book is, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks he can do better, eager to take the story and improve on it. The book is the book. The film is the film. They will tell you as if they were saying something profound. Then they make their story of their own. They never make it better, though. 999 times out of 1,000, they make it worse. He did like Shogun. So I agree. I don't read as much as I should. And some films I get excited for, specifically for the filmmakers and the story, where I'll buy the book first. For instance, I was extremely excited for No Country for Old Men, and I decided to read the book before the film. And the film was like perfect. The book, the changes that the movie made were a little better than the book, but the book was really fucking good. I don't know if I can agree with this, and I don't know if I have room to say I agree with this. This whole show, Popcorn Poppin', is my opinion anyway. So if I have to say whether or not I agree that most of the time it won't be as good as the book. Usually the source material is better. But when you have something like The Mist, where Stephen King himself said that he wished he had that ending, I would say maybe that means the movie's better than the book. I remember Chucky Oaks was it Chucky? I don't think it was Chucky. No, it wasn't Chucky. Chucky, if I ever hear from you again, how you doing, buddy? It was Andrew Damer? Who the fuck was it? I don't know. And none of these kids look alike. I don't know why I'm pulling them. Anyways, someone in high school. No, I think it was Chucky Oaks, because The Mist is pretty old. I don't know. Someone was reading the book and they're like, I don't know, it's okay. And then they saw the movie and they're like, oh my God, the movie's way better. There is Game of Thrones, the television series, which I've heard from people that besides the end, even though they went past the books because they're not released yet, that the show did more justice to the imagination than the books did. But most of the time, people said the books were better. I just think that there are a lot more times than 999,999% of the time, because I don't believe that. But I can't really think of an example besides No Country for Old Men, from my personal view, that it wasn't better or not. I know that there's another one that I read, but I can't think of what it is. In any case, it's an interesting take, and I was going to make like movies based on books that ended up better or maybe as good as the original source material, but I didn't have time. So that's maybe something that we can do in the future. One last question for Peter Gill. I know you walk through these films and series, and whether it's popping or not, but give me your best suggestion on what I need to see. You can wait until the end of the episode. I will give you at the end of the episode, and I'll do it like at the last. I got you. I will give you two that come to mind. Two Chris Nolan movies. which most people have seen Memento, but for some reason, not a lot of people have seen The Prestige. Definitely watch that. I like mindfuck movies, so when people ask me what's a movie I need to see, I like to say mindfuck movies. I think mindfuck movies make you search out more films too. And I think when I'm trying to look for something that truly shocks me, not just with like horror and not just with a twist, but usually a twist. Usually a twist. Memento, Prestige, Triangle is very good. I don't think you need to see that though, because I showed that to someone one time and I was like, this wasn't as good as the first time I watched it, but it is very well made. I will tell you a TV show that I think everyone needs to see because it's a perfect blend of comedy and drama. Very similar to Barry. In fact, it came out at the same time as Barry. It's called Mr. In Between, which I think you can watch on Hulu. Very good series. And I don't know. It's for me, it's kind of hard to like give out recommendations. Old Boy for sure. Everyone needs to watch Old Boy. It's hard for me to do this because The Thing, everyone needs to see The Thing. It's one of the best horror movies ever, and it gives you a reason of why CGI isn't always the best method, especially if you see The Thing prequel after it. It really depends on genre, Pete. It does. I did start curating different lists so that I'll have special episodes dedicated to those lists, and that would be like Jermaine Higgins presents the movies you need to watch before he dies, or, like best comedies to watch, best date movies. I want to make lists for films that are for certain situations or are certain genres for you to watch. Like, what's a good movie to watch during a breakup? Waiting to Exhale for females. Or it used to be 500 Days of Summer for males, but I don't know. Maybe not. And Pete does like sci-fi and thrillers and the mind fucks. I love mind fuckery as well. If you haven't seen The Prestige, check out The Prestige. Definitely check out Old Boy. Sci-fi, one of my favorite sci-fi films is Blade Runner 2049. I love that movie. They're making a sequel series with Michelle Yeoh soon, so I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah, I'll make some more lists and I'll give you some more for sure. But thank you. Always ask questions. I like asking. I like when people ask questions because also it lets me know what you're seeking out in this series. And by this series, I mean the show. I'm so hot. Oh, I don't care. I don't watch He-Man, but they are doing a Masters of the Universe movie, I believe. Let me double check this real quick. This is the guy. His name's Nicholas Galitzine. I think I looked him up and I didn't notice anything I know him from. There is an animated series, but they are making a movie. Yeah, a movie. And it is going to be directed by Travis Knight, who did Kubo and the Two Strings, but he also did Bumblebee. And I never saw Bumblebee, but I hear really good things about it. Every time someone is asked if I've seen Bumblebee, and I'm like, no. And I'm about to tell them, like, I'm not a big Transformers fan. And they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be bad, but it was really good. Every single person has told me that. So that makes me a little interested in this. And I did like Kubo and the Two Strings. I'm not a big He-Man fan, though. I just never got into him. But maybe this will be good. No problem, Pete. I got you, bro. Next up in news. Star Wars. Is Disney, like, overseer, I guess? Or the Star Wars overseer? I don't know. Kathleen Kennedy. I think she's Disney overseer. She had some interesting thoughts I wanted to share with you. Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and level of expectation, it's terrifying. I think Leslie, who is doing the new Acolyte show that's premiering on Disney Plus tomorrow, she's the showrunner. Very good writer. She did... Hold on one second. I apologize. I should have had this ready for you. Leslie Headland. She did a really good rom-com, Sleeping with Other People, starring Allison Brie and Jason Segel. I really dug it. I thought it was very good. He produced... Did he direct Bachelorette? I hear good things about Bachelorette. He produced it. Oh, he directed it too. That's another rom-com. And She also did a couple episodes of Blunt Talk with Patrick Stewart. That was a pretty good show. Episodes of Smilf, Heathers, which I forgot was a TV show. Russian Doll, which is really fucking good. I thought she did something else that I really, really dug. Hold on, let me look at writing real quick. She did the screenplay for About Last Night with Kevin Hart. I really liked that adaptation. I recommend it. I think it's with Regina Hall or King. I always get their names confused. All right, I don't want to get too far off track. Anyways, Kathleen Kennedy talks about Leslie Headland and all the experiences that she's going through. Hall was one I was looking for. Sorry. So what does Kathleen Kennedy say? Basically, how difficult social media in the world is to make Star Wars films. And one thing that she thinks that Leslie has struggled with a little bit was women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more. Because of the fan base being so male-dominated, they sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. My belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me. As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. I've felt it myself. Weird thing to admit. I stand by my empathy for Star. I feel like you should die on that hill. I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. The next movie here about, that's it. That's all she said. So I definitely agree that it's definitely a male presence when it comes to criticizing literally fucking anything because of the patriarchy. But Star Wars and like superhero movies specifically, men fucking hate it. Like I don't understand why they hate Brie Larson so bad, but people fucking declined the Marvels without giving it a shot. And that movie's decent. Way more than decent to me. But I don't think anyone that truly hates women, like I think if you're a fucking woman hater, you would watch the Marvels and be like, well, that doesn't count. That one was pretty good. It was pretty good. I got to use the word love. There's some things in there like that. Anyways. So yeah, I do believe that. And also I do agree that the more I hear like, oh no, we're making this more women centric, the more I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Who cares? As long as they're making it. Stop looking at the gender or the race that is making it. Now, granted, I have talked about, and I'm always walking on eggshells about it, when the message is larger than character development or plotting, and that message is women power and men's rule, when that's the message and they're mostly focusing on that message rather than character and storytelling, then I'm like, okay, let's chill out. But you can do both without, you can do it and then have the reveal being, oh, wait a minute. That's true. Women are people too. You have to trick men, guys. They're stupid. If you start off with women are dope, you're going to lose your audience. And I think women are dope. But I'm telling you, men are hateful. They're very jealous of your talent. Anyways, I believe I totally like everything that Kathleen Kennedy says. I think it's weird that she said, like, I know we fucked up a few times. Like, I don't know. I like someone being truthful, but that might be a little too truthful. And I don't believe that she's saying, like, we don't respond to bigotry or hate speech. You do, because of, I can't remember her name. It was the Asian character in Last Jedi. You sidelined the fuck out of her for that third film. So I think you do respond a little bit. Next, my boy, Mike Flanagan. I hope this doesn't deter the Dark Tower series, but Mike Flanagan is going to be taking over The Exorcist. Remember that shitty Exorcist movie? If you don't remember, don't watch the movie, watch my review. It sucked. Exorcist Believer. It didn't do well, and they were going to make David Gordon Green, who did the movie. He also did the newest Halloween trilogy, which the first one of that trilogy was super dope. Second one I liked a lot, and the third one was garbage. He was going to make another trilogy of Exorcist movies. So glad they're like, hold up, buddy. That movie actually did pretty well, by the way. It grossed over 137 million globally, which is pretty good for a horror film. Yet it underperformed with critics, so they're like, let's just not do it. And also, they probably expected more money. Anyways, Mike Flanagan's going to do it. It is going to be more of a standalone film, and I'm very excited. It's supposed to be scheduled to hit theaters maybe next year. Maya Hawke admitted to her Nepo babyism for getting a role in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Which, when you watch the film, I noticed Rumor Willis. You notice her. You notice Maya Hawke. So, like, you can kind of see the vibe of, like, oh, you have a lot of Hollywood people in this. And even though Maya Hawke was definitely not really a household name yet, I don't even know if Stranger Things came out yet. The fact that she was in there is like an Easter egg. So I don't think like that's like the same Nepo baby thing of like, this girl really wants the role. And he's like, no, I'm picking her because I know her dad. I think it's no, I want her because aesthetically speaking, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I want to have a lot of stars or relatives of stars. So I don't know if that counts. But I do like that she admits to being a Nepo baby, although she seems really chill about it. Someone asked her if she thinks that if Nepo babies deserve kind of leg up opportunities. Deserves is a complicated word. There are so many people who deserve to have this kind of life who don't, but I think I'm comfortable with not deserving it and doing it anyway. All right. That's cool that you admit that you may not deserve it. I know that my not doing it would help anyone. I saw two paths when I was first starting, and one of them was change your name and get a nose job and go to open casting calls. I think that would be more fair, although it does kind of suck that some people have to change their names just so they're not like compared to someone else. But I would rather like you on the merit of your ability to act rather than who you're related to. Having said that, I do really enjoy Maya Hawke's acting, and I was more interested in everything that she was doing after Stranger Things, because that's where I realized she was Maya Hawke. And I was more interested in more of her future roles because she's Ethan Hawke's daughter. So it's a yin and yang, but I dig that she's like very like forthcoming with her opinions on it. And not all of them are like what most Nepo babies say, like, I earned this and I'm good. She says like, maybe I didn't earn it, but I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity that other people can't have and make some dope shit. I like the projects that she picks. So more props to her. I wasn't going to discuss this, except I found out that Margaret Qualley, that girl on the right, who you must have seen before. I'm very familiar with her, but she is whose daughter? Andy McDowell's daughter. I didn't know that. So that's something you learned today. Chris Miller and Phil Lord, or Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I don't know if I just said the same thing twice. They're directing a new movie directed by Drew Goddard. Great director, by the way. Well, okay director. I lied. In any case, I'm glad that they're directing. They're very good directors. They did 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and produce a lot of cool projects, including the Into the Spider-Verse films and the Lego movies. Specifically the first Lego movie. I think they wrote that together. In any case, they're doing this movie called Project Hail Mary, which is based on a novel where a middle school science teacher played by Ryan Gosling wakes up on a spaceship with no memory of who he is or how he got there. I really get tired of like those movies where like, well, who am I? The Bourne Identity movies. But he must figure out how to complete his interstellar mission to save Earth from an astronomical catastrophe completely alone until he meets a mysterious alien who has traveled light years to save his own species from the same fate. That's a pretty good hook. And I don't know if Sandra Hüller is playing the alien or not, but Sandra Hüller was in Anatomy of the Fall. She's an excellent actor. She was also in that Nazi movie, Zone of Interest. So she had a really good year last year, or this year. All right, this is the last time I'm talking about Knives Out until the movie comes out, besides reminding you when the movie comes out. But they have been announcing the cast left and right, and I don't want to hear anymore. When I heard Kerry Washington, I was like, I'm happy. I'm happy enough as it is with her. I don't need to know anyone else. I could tell you other names I can think of right now that are in it, but I'm trying to forget who's in it, so I'm pleasantly surprised when I watch the film. So Kerry Washington's going to be in the new film, which is Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. If you want to watch the first film, you can rent it. And if you want to watch the second film, you can watch it on Netflix. Next up, if you haven't seen Coherence, Pete, if you're still watching, Coherence, I think, is a movie that, again, I don't think it's a need to see, but it is so well made, especially for a independent film. And it is about alternate realities. That's all I'll say when it comes to the main plot. But it is 8 friends at a dinner party experience a troubling chain of events due to a malevolent influence of a passing comet. It is a very independent film, and it takes place at one location, and it involves other realities. And I'm telling you the alternate realities thing to bring you in a little bit and to let you know the water's warm. I know that there is a shit ton of multiverse and alternate reality things out right now. This film came out well before that craze happened, and they do it beautifully. And they do it so independent that it looks fucking good, man. It looks really good. Why am I bringing this up now? The reason I'm bringing this up now is because they are doing another film set in the same universe. They haven't said whether it's a sequel, prequel, or just another story. I'm assuming it's another story that happens during the comet, which they absolutely could do. And I'm pretty geeked about it. You can check out Coherence on Amazon Prime. Pete Gill is watching. Oh, you're watching, brother. Good. Keep watching. Always keep watching. Coherence. It's pretty dope. Next. David Lynch, if you're a fan of Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, the original Dune. I don't know who is. He isn't even. Inland Empire or the Twin Peaks. Your boy, David Lynch, teased on his Insta, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, something is coming along for you to see and hear June 5th, which is Wednesday. People are speculating that it's a new animated project that he's doing, which he's done before with Rabbits, which featured the voice of the beautiful Naomi Watts. It's very weird, but very David Lynchian. And you can see some of that work in Inland Empire. He's done other weird animated stuff. It, of course, isn't weird. It's him. But yeah, so we'll see what it is Wednesday. I think it's going to be like an animated short and that's it. But it'd be fucking dope if it was a movie or if it was a trailer for Twin Peaks new series season 2. I'd be down, even though like I didn't love it as much as everyone else. Next, Guy Ritchie, the director of Aladdin, Snatch, Man from U.N.C.L.E., and Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2 is going to be directing the 8-episode series Young Sherlock with this dude. I don't know who it is. Elle Fanning is in talks to star in Badlands, which is in the Predator universe. It's a standalone Predator movie, the same as the film Prey on Hulu. Watch that. Pete, if you're watching this, watch Prey. It's so well made. If you haven't seen Predator, the original with Schwarzenegger, check that out too. Very underrated. But Prey is super fucking good. And the guy who directed it, Dan Trachtenberg, he did the episode of Black Mirror, Playtest, which if you haven't watched Black Mirror, that's also a need to see. And Playtest is excellent. He also did 10 Cloverfield Lane. And I know he did something else, but I can't remember it for the time. Oh, he did the pilot to The Boys, which I think is very important to recognize the directors of pilots of new series because they're helping shape the tone of a series that you will potentially love. And Dan basically created that sort of resonance of the series. And that's something to, just like how J.J. Abrams helped create the tone and everything of Lost, which some people may yell at him for, but I say, like, bravo. Next. All right. So I want to be fair to Matthew Vaughn because I've talked a lot of shit about Matthew Vaughn. And he is reflecting on poor Argyle reviews. If you haven't seen my review on Argyle, check it out. Be warned, I'm very mean because this movie is very bad. Here's what Matthew Vaughn had to say. we had done test screenings that had gone fantastically well. I'm not making fun of him, but I am a little bit. I won't be mean anymore, but I will read it in the voice that I heard. The premiere was a really fun night, and it was really like going back to the Snatch days. He produced Snatch. The Snatch days where there was such excitement, and I started drinking the Kool-Aid. It's a fun, feel-good movie, or I thought it was a fun, feel-good movie. We didn't make Citizen Kane, but fucking hell, then the reviews came out, and I'm like, wait, what have I done to offend these people? They were vitriolic. 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 I don't know. It's a good word, whatever it is. I'm not saying the movie was perfect by any means, but I didn't think it was offensive. That took me by surprise. I was offended. I even went around to cinemas because I thought maybe I've lost the plot now. It did rattle me. I'm genuinely scratching my head about it because you can't ignore it. It was just like a few bad. It wasn't just like a few bad reviews. So I don't want to shit on something that, especially someone. I know I do this sometimes, but it's kind of like the fun of like critiquing movies. And also, the whole point of the show is to like learn from films and tell you why your taste sucks when you like things like this, and why you should watch other things. Why I watch a boring movie and people are like, why do you like this movie? It's so boring. Because I have convinced people movies that they watched the first time that they didn't like. I'm like, no, I liked it. And they're like, why? And I tell them, and they're like, okay. They'll come back to me and say, I watched it, and looking at it from that point of view, I kind of liked it. If you liked Argyle, watch my review and watch it again, because the movie fucking sucks. I hated it. That's the word, Pete. I just don't know how to pronounce it. If you can sound it out on here, I'd appreciate it. What the fuck? What did I do? I gotta go get you off here. All right. So, yeah, So, in response to your response, Matthew Vaughn, it really wasn't good, buddy. I'm glad you had fun making it, and feel free to make more. But apparently it's doing very good on streaming, so Matthew says. But they need more people to watch it in order for them to greenlight another one, which they absolutely tee up. It looks really bad, though. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. Liam, this is the second time I've called Chris Liam. Chris Hemsworth is in talks to star in the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie. If you watch the Transformers Rise of Beasts movie, which I also did a review on, which was surprisingly way better than I thought it was going to be, it ended with a cliffhanger showing a crossover event between Transformers and G.I. Joe. Now, the G.I. Joe movies aren't really that great, but I was kind of interested in this idea, even though I kind of checked out of Transformers. But I'd watch this. Chris Hemsworth, remember what I said about Mad Max? When it came to Mad Max and I saw him on screen, I'm like, this is another weird character that reminds me of the other villain character he does, and I don't like the way he does villains. As long as he's not playing a villain, I'm down for this movie. Mahershala Ali is in talks to be in the next Jurassic World film. So is Scarlett Johansson in talks. I feel like these are rumors, because not only are these two very different actors, but Scarlett Johansson, I think this would be an extremely smart move on her part, because she's used to having a franchise, i.e. fucking MCU. And I think Jurassic Park, like no matter how bad the movies could be, they will make a gajillion dollars. So get your bread, girl. Do it. Mahershala, when the fuck is Blade coming out? No wonder you're in talks for this. You're probably trying to scare MCU. I don't know. In any case, in talks. They're both in talks to be in the next Jurassic World. But it's also in talks for Gareth Edwards to be directing. He did The Creator, the Godzilla Bryan Cranston film, and Rogue One, which was it was very well made. I didn't love it too much. All right. The trailers of the week. Don't worry, we're wrapping up soon. The trailers of the week. Wolves by John Watts. John Watts did Spider-Man Homecoming, No Way Home, and Far From Home. Excellent director, and he apparently directed this George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Apple TV Plus movie. I can't remember what it's going to be out on because I don't think it's coming out in theaters. Well, it's Apple Studios, at least. I don't know if this is coming out in theaters, but Down. I watched about 20 seconds of the trailer, and I think it's a really cool premise. Basically, they're two fixers. So someone ends up dead, you got to call a guy, and they'll come in and fix it. But turns out the hotel also called a guy, so they both have to fix the problem. So it looks like a one-night movie. Dope. It's a dark comedy. Dope. And it's Brad Pitt and George Clooney. Double dope. Granted, I love you, George. Even Brad, you look a little old too. But George, you're looking old, buddy. And I get it. People age. Just, I hope he's not he's going to try tricking us with a stunt double that looks like him or something, doing like some crazy shit. But no, I'm excited for this. These two are really, really good together. I love the Ocean's 11 movies. And this looks fun. I will say, whenever you hear a trope line like, you gotta be kidding me, I'm nervous about the movie. And this movie had a lot of lines like that in the trailer. So like, what? I'm not working with him. So I'm cautious, but I'm excited. Next. Moana 2 is another huge trailer. Apparently it's like the most viewed trailer, Disney Pixar trailer on YouTube. I liked Moana. I didn't pay as much attention to everyone else, but people fucking love Moana. I thought it was very good, but I didn't love it. But I will rewatch it, and I'm excited for 2 because why not, I guess. And I did watch this trailer. Robin Floyd, she's very excited for this. Let me know what you're very excited for. It was probably Moana 2. Or maybe Wolves. And what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Venom, last trailer of the week is Venom 3. People love these Venom movies. I think they're very entertaining, but they're not that great, like from a film standpoint. But when it comes to like not being snooty, they're very fun films. I love Tom Hardy. This movie looks really funny. It looks like it's still going to have the things I don't like about it, like the real weird filmmaking, like storytelling things that I'm so like nitpicky about, but it looks super fun. If you haven't checked out the trailer, check it out. It's called Venom: The Last Dance. So might be the last time we see Tom Hardy in this role. Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and Peacock have a bundle available right now only to Xfinity customers for $15 a month total. Great deal. Caveat, they only have one tier and it's ad tier. Methinks that all of these bundles are only going to have the ad tiers. And that is like, no, I can't do that. I'd rather pay for them separately. Robin Floyd is excited for Wolves. I am excited for Wolves as well. I'm very, very excited. In fact, what was I going to say? I'll do like, if you haven't watched the Ocean's 11 movies, watch those. Petey Gill, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great fan. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you don't mind sharing as well, I'd appreciate it, buddy. So yeah, there's this bundle pack available if you're an Xfinity member. Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Peacock, $15 a month total. If you want to have Now TV, which is live TV, apparently, they offer that for $15 more. I'm not going to do it because it's ads. I don't like ads. Next in news, Welcome to Derry miniseries or just series is going to have Bill Skarsgård return as Pennywise the Clown. I believe this is a prequel series that they're working on. It's going to be on Max next year. Rick and Morty writers are coming out with a new animated series called The Undervale for Netflix. I didn't have what it's about on here. Oh, here we go. The series centers on a single mother of 2 kids who run a haunted hotel with the help of her estranged and deceased brother, who thinks the ghosts have some pretty good ideas. This sounds fun. I like Solar Opposites, even though that's Justin Roiland. Minecraft. I don't fucking play Minecraft, but if you like Minecraft or you have kids that like Minecraft, there is a Minecraft TV series in the works at Netflix, and there is a movie that is coming out next April with Jason Momoa, Danielle Brooks, and my boy Jack Black. Probably the last 3 body problem new. Each week I come out with new news because they're like slowly telling us more and more like discussion of what the rest of the series is going to look like. Originally, I just told you that they are continuing the series to finish it. We didn't know how many episodes. It's going to have 2 more seasons. They said that the whole reason that they did the show was because they were excited mostly about season 2. Apparently, there are 3 books. I don't know if I'm assuming so. Each season is based off of specific book, but season 2 apparently is where it's at. I really, really recommend people to watch at least 4 episodes of this. I know I'm asking you to give me 4 hours of your life, but just give it a shot. And remember, it is the Game of Thrones, people. Forget the last 2 seasons. Just remember they made something cool once, and they can make something cool again. And it's not at Game of Thrones level, but it is fucking crazy. It's super, super dope. Next. Hacks got renewed for season 4 right after their season finale. Go Hacks. Dungeons and Dragons was going to have a TV show on Paramount Plus. It's not happening anymore. Hasbro's shopping it somewhere else. Had no idea they were doing this in the first place. If you want to check out Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, a way better Dungeons and Dragons movie than a lot of me and my fellow D&D players had thought it was going to be. I think it's on Paramount Plus, but they are shopping around the TV show for somewhere else. Vince Staples show. Petey, you like 3 body? All right, good. I do know someone else. Well, apparently, and Petey, season 1, it gets crazier and crazier. Apparently, season 2 is batshit crazy. Vince Staples show is greenlit for a season 2 on Netflix. I recommend everyone to try Vince Staples show. I was too hooked on the idea that it's very, 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 very similar to Atlanta, but I loved the framework of each episode, specifically how usually each episode was in one location. One episode takes place at a family reunion. Another episode takes place during a bank robbery. And it's interesting. I dig it. I don't listen to much of his music. I got a couple of his songs on my playlists, but I dig the show. Suits, the final season, will be available on Netflix July 1st. Apparently, it hasn't been on there. I didn't know that, but it'll be on there then. Also, there is going to be if you're into podcasts, especially series watching podcasts, Patrick Adams and the redhead, Rafferty, I can't remember her name, Donna, and the stoner guy, the faker, the young Patrick J. Adams. They're doing a fucking show watching podcast. It's called Sidebar, but it's not a rewatch podcast. Each podcast will be on each episode as they go on, of course. But apparently, neither of them have watched the show before. So I think that's a little more interesting. In fact, I might do it with them because I've never finished the show, but I thought it was really fucking good. So I don't know. Maybe that's something to think about. All right, that's the end of the news. The only things that I'm watching currently right now, not much different TV show-wise. X-Men the Animated Series. I'm towards the end of season 4. And there's only one more season until I can finally catch up with you guys on watching X-Men 97, which I hear is fucking amazing. Both are on Disney Plus right now. Dark Matter is getting better and better, guys. Another multiverse television series that's on Apple TV Plus on Wednesdays. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I thought it was Fridays. These episodes are getting crazier and crazier. I'm very excited for the show. It is a multiverse show where someone is taken out of their reality and is trying to get back in. If that doesn't sound cool enough, the way to travel is through a box very similar to Schrodinger's box. And there's a corridor of doors that reaches other realities that you can access to depending on your emotional state. It's fucking dope, guys. It's super cool. My mom read the book. She said it was really good too. Check it out. Check it out. Apple TV Plus. And The Sympathizer, which is done right now, but I have to catch up on. It's not on Max Sundays. The whole series is on Max right now. Honorable mentions of things that I haven't watched that you might be interested in. Ezra. I'm just going to go over the titles because this episode went a lot longer than I thought. Ezra, which is in theaters right now, which is like a feel-good movie. The Dead Don't Hurt, which is in theaters right now. Viggo Mortensen's writing, directing, and acting. Robot Dreams, which I hear really good things about. It's an animated adventure with a robot and a dog, which is in theaters right now. What's this? Yeah, check out Dark Matter. 1992, A Shopkeeper Must Save His Son. Oh, I'm not going to read the whole thing. 1992, which is in theaters right now. Summer Camp, which is mostly for old people, in theaters right now. And We Are Lady Parts, second season, dropped on Peacock. Jeremy Renner's return to Mayor of Kingstown, which is on Paramount Plus. I haven't tried the show because I haven't heard that many great things about it. But I don't seek out Jeremy Renner's shit, but I usually like his project, so maybe I'll check it out. All right, here's what's coming out next week. It'll be a lot more of an interesting episode of Popcorn Poppin', I guarantee it, because we'll be talking about Bad Boys Ride or Die. Why the fuck did you call Bad Boys 3 Bad Boys for Life? Like, I think that they did a lot of social media, especially with a lot of influencers to help promote this new movie, but they make fun of themselves for making that mistake. I keep wanting to call this movie Bad Boys for Life because it's the fourth Bad Boys. You're fools. You're fools. Anyways, this is coming out Friday. Poppin' Forecast. I think it'll be better than 3. I watched at least some of the trailer, and I was like, this looks better. It's the same directors as the last one. And the last one, I had extremely low expectations, and it was better than I expected, but it was a submission where I was like, I would have rather you guys not have done this, or if you did do this, you did it years ago. This, I definitely did not want, but it looks better than the last one, so let's see how the ride goes. This will be in theaters Thursday. The Watchers, which I'm pretty excited about. I have not watched the trailer. I only watched the teaser. Dakota Fanning stars as a young artist who gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in Western Ireland, where after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers, stalked by mysterious creatures each night. That's the first time I read the plot. Poppin' or not, I think this will be Poppin'. This is directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, too. And wait, is it the daughter or the son? They're both filmmakers. Either way, this is directed by a Shyamalan. I think that this will be good. I think Dakota Fanning still picks really good projects. Ripley on Netflix is really, really, really good. That's one I don't recommend to everyone because it's another slow burn series. But I like Dakota Fanning a lot, so I'm excited to see how she's going to do in another starring role in a new film, especially one that's creepy, a creepy thriller. I'm kind of excited for this. I love Richard Linklater. I'm okay with this Glenn Powell like explosion. I think he will be a lot more popular, like in like Anyone But You too. But I don't think he's a household name quite yet. Definitely in Hollywood because he's in all these big movies. But this is I'm assuming dark comedy about a professional killer, Gary Johnson, who breaks protocol to help a desperate woman trying to flee an abusive husband and finds himself falling for her. Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona star in Richard Linklater's film. Richard Linklater most famously did Dazed and Confused, School of Rock, Before Sunset trilogy. And he's done a bunch of movies. Excellent indie director. I'm excited for this. This is going to be dropping on Netflix Friday. The Acolyte is going to be on Disney Plus tomorrow. It's going to start on Disney Plus tomorrow. It's not going to be the whole series. It'll be a weekly endeavor. I am skeptical because I'm not a big fan of Star Wars at this moment, but I do like Leslie Headland, and I did watch the first trailer and I was impressed. So I'm going to keep my expectations low, but try to be a little excited. I won't watch this, but Sweet Tooth's final season will be on Netflix Thursday. Look at the guy, a little elephant kid. These storylines interesting. It's like a post-apocalyptic world, or there's like animal children and Will Forte in the first couple episodes, and once he was gone, I checked out. But it's a feel-good show. It just wasn't for me. You can check it out on Netflix right now. Power Book 2, the final, I don't know if it's the first part of the final season or the second part of the final season, but they're in their final episodes. And the season premiere is Friday on Stars. Queenie, which I might check out. I was kind of interested in the trailer. Queenie Jenkins is a 25-year-old Jamaican British woman living in South London, living in between two cultures and entering neatly into neither. This is dropping on Hulu Friday. So yeah, the biggest things to watch this weekend that we'll absolutely be talking about next week. And I want to try to figure out what the special segment will be, because I like having special segments and I wish I did one this week. I'm thinking maybe buddy cop movies will be the one next week. I think it's a pretty good subject. We'll go over films like 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon, and we'll talk about the previous Bad Boys films. Spoiler alert, Bad Boys 2 is the best of the boys that are bad, and of buddy cop movies in general, honestly. The Watchers, which I will see in theaters as well. The Hitman, which I will see on Netflix Friday. And The Acolyte, which will be on Disney Plus as well. So I didn't make a poster for this. I'll see you Monday, but I will like to say a few words. I wish I made a poster of this, but yesterday or today, maybe, or yesterday, recently my uncle passed, Uncle Chuck. Really one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He died at the tender age of 87. He had a full life. He can tell you stories for days. One of the nicest people I one of the nicest and funniest people you'll ever meet. Nothing but joy. I'm really grateful that I not only had a chance to meet him, let alone be related to him, but also for hearing his stories. And I'm just so grateful I got to say goodbye to him, because I saw some peace with it, but I don't want to be too much of a bummer. The reason I'm bringing this up on PopCorn Poppin is because when we got there, Jimmy Stewart's It's a Wonderful Life was on television. And I was like, oh, so you're watching It's a Wonderful Life? He goes, oh, I hope not. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I don't want to watch this. I want to watch Back to the Future. Like, he said it so right away. So like one of the last films he watched was Back to the Future, which is kind of cool that I was like there for. But we talked about Back to the Future for a while and like how it impacted cinema and blah 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 blah. But yeah, so I love you, Uncle Chuck. I love the family that you always brought together every Christmas Eve, and it doesn't feel the same without you already. But I know that you are still in our hearts for sure. And you're still in our minds, buddy. And I will always miss you. And hopefully we still do Christmas Eves without you, because I think that would be nice. All right. That's it, guys. I owe you at least one sketch. So I'll make a sketch for you. I promise. Even if it's 10 seconds long. Because we need to get this train moving. And the projects that I'm doing outside of this are starting to wind down. So I think it's time for me to make a change. Thank you, Pete, for the RIP. And I'll see you guys next Monday.
Bye.